Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now it is happening again. Bitcoin just officially confirmed a new bullish divergence here in the short term in the Bitcoin price chart, but we still have liquidity building just below the price of Bitcoin. So it's the same story here as what we saw just recently, which I'll talk about in just a moment for the price of Bitcoin, alongside XRP, which is now starting to test a very important area on the price chart that we need to pay attention to, alongside Chainlink also now retesting this crucial area of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a really quick look at the US stock market today. This is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame. And over the last couple of days, obviously we saw that slight little pullback, but just in the latest trading day, we've seen a very slight little bounce. So overall, a little bit of good news just in the short term, really, for not just the stock market, but for the crypto market, because as I always say, crypto and stocks are highly correlated. But obviously, despite seeing short-term bullish moves and short-term bearish moves, overall the US stock market, at least for now, is basically in a bit of a sideways price range, as we can see, bouncing between support and resistance. So that's still the situation. Not a lot has changed over the last one day in this chart right here. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame, obviously nothing's changed on the larger time frames over the last one day. So the super trend indicator still sitting in the red on the weekly time frame, and we still have a massive bearish divergence technically still playing out, still active on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. So once again, nothing changed on the larger time frames over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're also still bouncing around relatively sideways between support and resistance. We still have a lot of support at around 60,000, and if that level eventually breaks, I would expect more support in between around 53,000 to 56,000 as another area of support to watch out for if we break below 60,000. And as for resistance, obviously expect a lot of resistance closer towards 72,000, but really in between around 72 to 76,000 as a significant area of resistance to watch out for. And remember, the bigger picture has not changed over the last one day, which means overall we're still within a larger bearish trend, a multi-month bearish trend. But during this multi-month bearish trend, of course, we can see little breaks and reliefs in the shorter term, like what we saw just here, starting around end of November 2025, lasting until early this year. So for just over a month throughout all of December, obviously, we're seeing just a slight little bullish relief, a lot of choppy sideways price action, having a little bit of a break in the shorter term during this much larger multi-month bearish trend. And so obviously for over a week now, for almost 2 weeks now, since basically this local low, I've been predicting something similar to what we saw back here, just a bit of a break, most likely a lot of choppy sideways price action over the next couple of weeks during the larger trend. And then maybe in a few weeks from now or a month from now, for example, it's possible we could go lower. So that is a risk that we still need to be aware of and still need to keep in mind. But once again, just in the shorter term, continue to expect a bit more choppy sideways price action, a bit of a break during that larger bearish trend, which obviously so far for over a week now has been exactly playing out as predicted. And if we're taking a look at the 2-hour Bitcoin price chart, looking at the immediate short term for the price of Bitcoin, obviously over the last couple of days, a couple of days ago right here, we did actually form a bullish divergence with slight lower lows in the price and very slight little higher lows forming in the RSI on the 2-hour time frame. But then obviously, as I talked about in my last video, that bullish divergence failed after about 1 day of it playing out. So it played out for close to a day, and then we invalidated that bullish divergence. But we've just now formed and started to confirm yet another bullish divergence on the 2-hour Bitcoin price chart, because obviously we've now confirmed new lower lows in the price in the candle closes, and we've now just confirmed new higher lows in place in the 2-hour Bitcoin RSI. And now, once again, a bullish divergence by itself does not necessarily guarantee a huge bullish trend reversal or anything like that. So don't necessarily expect significant momentum towards the upside based on this alone. Obviously, we did see a decent bullish move from this bullish divergence that we saw back around 12th of February when it confirmed and played out in a decent short-term bullish move over the next couple of days. But remember, the last one that we saw right here a couple of days ago only played out for barely 1 day with a very slight slight bullish move and a lot of choppy sideways price action just for around 1 day before it invalidated. And so perhaps if we're taking kind of an average of those two outcomes, it is quite likely we could play out either a little bit more bullish price action. Once again, don't expect a huge bullish move towards all-time highs or anything like that. Just a slight little bullish relief, or most likely a bit of choppy sideways price action, kind of like this, is ultimately what I expect just in the shorter term, most likely for the next 1 or possibly couple of days. And obviously that would very much align with the overall sideways price action that we're seeing here on the 3-day time frame, because as we can see, we basically have support roughly around here on the price chart, a lot of resistance roughly around here at 71 to 72,000, and support at roughly around 65 to 66,000. So overall, once again, in the somewhat shorter term here, if we're talking about a period of say 1 or 2 weeks, we're basically just ranging relatively sideways, bouncing between support and resistance. And then of course that sideways price range is made up of shorter term bearish and bullish movements. And right now we're potentially just starting another very short term bullish move. But remember, understand the difference between the different time frames. This is looking at very small moves in the price chart that play out very quickly, and obviously small percentage movements because we're looking at the 2-hour time frame. But if we're zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, talking about the multi-month trend, overall this is still looking bearish. It's not changed over the last 1 day. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that looking at the last 2 weeks worth of price action, we actually have a new level of liquidity building just below the price of Bitcoin again, which is sitting at around just under 65,000, around 64.9k to 65,000, which means of course that is a level to keep in mind. And it's possible that at some stage within the next couple of days, not necessarily right this moment, but sometime within the next couple of days, it's possible and actually quite likely we could hit that level. As always, there's no such thing as a guarantee. There's obviously no guarantees in this market, but keep that in mind as a likely price target to likely be hit at some point in the next few days, potentially after we play out this bullish divergence a little longer here in the immediate short term. And so overall, those are my exact predictions and expectations and key levels and signals to watch out for the price of Bitcoin moving forward in the shorter term, mid-term, and longer term. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any crypto, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, the first link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which by the way is a no KYC exchange and is an exchange that I personally use myself. And once again, if you use that first link below the video, it'll take you to this page where you can take advantage of up to 800,000 USD in prizes here just by simply trading crypto over on 2bit using that link. Once again, we'll take you to this page right here. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or potentially getting ready to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using that first link below the video to take advantage of potentially some major prizes here that you can claim simply just by trading crypto using that first link below the video to 2bit. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use where you could also take advantage of extra prizes, then in that situation, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange. And for just over 1 day left, we still have this event happening right now over on Pinex where you can potentially win up to 100,000 USD worth of gold from a deposit as little as 100 USDT. And so once again, simply just by making your Pinex account using that second link below the video to Pinex, I'll take you to this page where once again, just by depositing $100 or $1,000 or one of these larger deposit amounts, of course, you can get more and more entries with the larger deposits here. And if you simply do that, then of course, you can take advantage of potentially some major prizes here just by simply making a deposit and starting to trade over on Pinex. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto or making deposits to an exchange either way, you might as well check this out. Take advantage of this for the next 1 day, 15 hours only. And once again, it's the second link below the video if you're interested. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame. And right now, the Bitcoin dominance, despite seeing short-term bullish moves and short-term bearish moves, is still basically just bouncing around relatively sideways in a bit of a sideways price range. So overall, continue to expect very similar price action for a lot of the altcoins on average compared to what Bitcoin is doing. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, obviously the 3-day Ethereum price chart looks almost identical to the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, especially in terms of this recent short-term price action. Obviously, the larger trends, just like Bitcoin, the larger trend for Ethereum still technically bearish if we're talking about the multi-month bearish trend, but just in the shorter term during the bearish trend, we're potentially still in a very similar situation to what we saw back here around December 2025. And so once again, I want to make it clear we've not yet fully confirmed the end of the bearish trend. We've not yet confirmed any massive bullish trend reversal, but we are still playing out just a bit of a break, a bit of a relief, mostly choppy sideways price action during that bearish trend. And obviously that's still playing out exactly as I predicted over a week ago, and will likely continue to play out a little longer considering we're still playing out this oversold signal in the 3-day Ethereum RSI. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, looking at the shorter term, we are testing a short-term level of support here based on these local lows sitting at just above 1.9k, around 1920 to 1910, around that area. Expect some support in the short term, and below that level expect a lot of support at closer towards 1.8k, especially in between 1.8k to 1820 based on this Fibonacci level of support. And as for resistance, obviously continue to expect a lot of resistance starting at just above 2.1k, especially around 2150 as a key level of resistance to watch out for. So obviously not a lot changed over the last 1 day for Ethereum. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, what is now happening as of recording this video for the price of XRP is that right now we are testing again this important area of support on the price chart based on this previous golden pocket area of resistance, acting as key support to watch out for, sitting in between $1.30 to $1.40. So continue to expect support in this area. But if we ultimately break towards the downside, especially with a weekly candle close, for example, confirming below around $1.30, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, we could potentially easily see a move down towards around $1.12 to $1.14, so roughly around $1.13 give or take as the next target and point of support to watch out for. And below that level, the next significant area of support would be sitting in between around 90 cents to $1. And also keep in mind, we're technically still playing out this much larger bearish divergence over the last 1 day. This has not yet been invalidated. So as I warned about all the way back up here, close to all-time highs, still expect a larger bearish movement, a lack of bullish momentum, and a lot of weakness in terms of the longer term trend here. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day XRP price chart, obviously just in the shorter term, we have been playing out this oversold signal. And now we have already reset out of oversold, which means possibly this signal has already played out at this point, but considering we're still closer towards oversold than even at the neutral level right now, it is likely that, especially if Bitcoin, for example, plays out just a slight little relief here, it's likely XRP just in the shorter term for the next few days, possibly another week, will continue a little bit more of a break from the bearish trend. Not necessarily a lot of bullish price action, maybe just some choppy sideways price action, but overall just continuing to play out a slight little relief from all of this extreme bearish price action. But once again, I want to make it clear, not necessarily confirming the end or the reversal of this bearish trend, just taking a bit of a break in the shorter term before possibly continuing the larger bearish trend later on. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 3-day time frame, it's a very similar situation for Solana. Obviously, we're still playing out this oversold signal in the 3-day Solana RSI, meaning expect either most likely some choppy sideways price action or potentially a very slight little bullish relief. But remember, this is not necessarily a bottom signal. So after we play out this slight little break from the bearish trend, it is possible we could see a trend continuation, kind of like what we saw back here. Obviously, we saw a bit of a break in the shorter term during December 2025, and then a continuation of the larger bearish trend. Right now, we're potentially in a very similar situation to what we saw back then. And as for support and resistance, we still have a lot of support, which we're pretty much testing right now as of recording this video, sitting in between $75 to $80. And if that area of support breaks, it is actually quite possible we could see a move all the way down towards around $50 as the next significant level of support to watch out for. And so obviously, as I've talked about in recent videos here on the channel, as always, not financial advice, but that's potentially a massive trading opportunity for a short position if it first confirms. Once again, just letting you know what I'd potentially be looking at doing myself, not financial advice, but if we first actually confirm a break below 75, which has not happened right now, but if that happens, I'd potentially look at scaling into a short position to actually profit along that next leg towards the downside, towards these lower targets. So keep that in mind. Even if we potentially see another bearish movement, that can still be a very profitable move if we're simply trading the move with, for example, a short position in the bearish scenario or a long position if we ultimately see more bullish price action. So it doesn't matter what direction the price goes, as long as we can sort of predict the rough movement of the price chart and of course the entry and the exit that we want to have, we can profit no matter what the price does. And so that is still the situation in the shorter term and the longer term for the price of Solana. And if we're taking a look at Chainlink, it's a very similar situation for Chainlink. Not a lot has changed over the last one day. We're now testing a crucial area of support here, sitting in between around $7.90 to $8.50 as a key area of support. And if that breaks, if we ultimately see candle closes below, especially $7.90, and especially if we fail to get back above that level, reject from that level, in that situation, the next massive target or massive area of support towards the downside is sitting in between around $5 to $5.50. But remember, even though we're technically still within the longer term multi-month bearish trend, just in the shorter term, yes, we're still holding this area of support at around $7.90 to $8.50, and we're still playing out the oversold signal in the 3-day Chainlink RSI, meaning expect most likely some choppy sideways price action or a very slight little bullish relief, but potentially still within the larger bearish trend, kind of like what we saw back here during December. And as for resistance, obviously continue to expect a lot of resistance in between around $9.50 to $10. And as I said earlier, looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, that tells us that a lot of these altcoins will likely just follow very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing. So definitely keep an eye on what Bitcoin is doing. Even if you don't hold any Bitcoin and you're only in the altcoin market, still just at least keep an eye on what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of these major altcoins. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves, no matter what direction the price goes, check out the links below the video to those exchanges if you want to take advantage of extra bonuses that are only available using those links. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of those extra bonuses to those certain exchanges using those links once again. And if you want to actually know how you can trade these sort of moves, no matter what direction the price goes, to profit at all times in the market, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen, because the video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.